So this video is called TikTok Psychics Have Lost Their Mind by Atozy. Link to the original video in the description. I love Atozy. Atozy makes great content, and he's been focusing a lot on these like weird lawsuit things that have been happening, which, as a man who's not a lawyer at all, who has a deep fascination with the law, I can really understand why he's doing what he's doing. Anyways, let's get right into this. This is the Clancy trial. Obviously, it has to do with that. The disgusting monster who, for some reason, a bunch of girls are getting, and I don't think it's a lot of women, really, that are supporting Clancy. To be fair, I think that what it really is that the algorithm kind of these online platforms props up, like, weird and negative behavior. And that's why we see so many, like, I stand with Lindsay posts, you know, because I haven't met, I know if, like, I don't know one woman that actually supports Clancy in real life. And I'm sure they exist, but I don't think it's the norm. Anyways, let's get into it.
There's now a massive trial, and of course, who comes out of the woodwork? A whole bunch of TikTok psychics. What do we know about TikTok psychics? Clearly,
what, are we drinking some water?
They're all rational human beings that have definitely not gone way overboard, like Ashley Gilliard, who we've covered very extensively here on this channel. I can't believe how far that went, but I don't know. At some point, one would think maybe, just maybe, other TikTok psychics would learn a lesson or two from Ashley Gilliard and maybe not insert them.
Look, dude, there's a thing, all right? You can believe in psychics or you could not believe in psychics. That's one thing, right? That's like more of a religious or spiritual matter to you. But if you think that someone is a psychic on TikTok, then you might just be an idiot.
In some crazy viral trial. But of course, because the
You said what the fuck's going on? What did Dolly, Curry, and Colin? Wait, Colin? Dying back-to-back days? Colin who? Who is this Colin that you're talking of? I know Dolly Parton and Tim Curry died. I don't know who the third was. I mean, it goes in threes, though, right? That's what always happens. Peter Cullen, you know, the voice of Optimus Prime? Oh, man. What are we doing here, world? And then you see the giant flood that just happened in Nepal as well. Like, Nepal just got utterly destroyed by a giant flood. Man, dude. Judgment Day.
trial is so viral and people really want attention in today's age on the internet.
I don't know
they
who
do
Eeyore.
so,
Oh,
regardless.
Eeyore. Oh, I just read that wrong. Okay. Like from Winnie the Pooh? Damn.
Because apparently being ordered to pay $10 million is not a big enough deterrent.
Well, I guess that's one reason for him to be depressed.
So it's safe to say all these self-proclaimed TikTok mediums or psychics, they're treading into some dangerous territory here, seemingly on the name for views and followers. And by the way, yes, I do realize I spawned into a new location. Where am I now? I don't know. What I do know is there's no AC in here, and it's probably somewhere between 92 and 97 Fahrenheit because this is borderline a sauna. Well, that's what I
mean, that's just a normal day where I live.
Get for being in the south of Europe with my family. I'm not complaining, don't worry, but regardless, releasing some heat shock proteins would absolutely not stop me from talking about this video with you guys today because it is just insane. So over the last few weeks, you've had this trial revolving Clancy blow up massively. It has been probably one of the biggest trials currently, other than maybe the David case. And it's safe to say—
Oh yeah, David, who was a musician who popped off, got famous, and then it was found out that he had his— Now, I don't remember if she was underage or not, but he had his girlfriend dead in the trunk of his car.
That a lot of people have had—
Which, by the way, you know, you see people being like, well, if this was a guy, people wouldn't support it. But people supported David as well. You know, people definitely supported David as well, and that was a guy. So— You know, let's slow down a little bit on the whole women are inherently evil thing, you know, because I just don't believe that. Are there evil women? 100% there are, for sure. Do they all think that it's okay to kill your children? No, obviously not. Look at the lady who ran into the burning building to save her children and had all 6 of them. Ran in, saved all 6, and has fucking 3rd-degree burns all over her body and looks like Freddy Krueger now. Actual hero, you know. You hear stories all the time about their kid is trapped under a car and a woman automatically becomes the Incredible Hulk. So like I don't know, do I believe that there is a big problem with like women's empathy being taken advantage of? Yes, I do. But do I think that women are inherently evil? No. No, I don't.
A lot of opinions
Maybe he
about
had a
this.
role in Invincible as Thaddeus. I never really watched Invincible for real. Here's a scary thought. What if the reason we don't hear a lot about female serial killers is because females are generally more clean and calculated and they don't get caught as easily? Honestly, you bring up a really, really good point. You bring up a really good point. See, this is my thing, though, is I think that so there's like waves of feminism that happens, right? And we've hit a point where there's really nothing to fight for anymore. There's really like not really underclass of women or an underclass of black people or anything like that, like people who are by law discriminated against. And once you run out of like things that are by law discriminated against, you have to start to like invent these like halfway like behind the back things. I don't know, like weird theories of why you're still oppressed, because the truth is it's like an explorer. This is how I think about it. There's some people would have been a great Martin Luther King, right? There are some people in this space that would have been amazing Martin Luther King type people, amazing Rosa Parks type people. But the same thing goes for like this, it goes for explorers. Once the world is already fully explored, there's not really anything more to do. Now you have to start doing weird shit like go into space,
Trial. It's been a really big one. And of course, before you ask, I will.
And sure, when you go to space, you might find aliens. You probably won't, but you might, And that's the hope. That's the hope. We can find the one, like, you can find the group of people that are still by law discriminated against and find a way to fight against the power,
We'll be making a video on this trial as well, but this I wanted to talk about first because it is a little bit more up my alley with the TikTok psychics.
You said we don't want to find aliens. We're barely a class 1 civilization. Yeah, no, yeah. I think that the only good thing that could come from aliens is if humanity really all got together and fought against the aliens. But then again, realistically, I think if aliens showed up and we did manage to globally get together and defeat them, then my mind would immediately just go to, oh, this is a conspiracy and the aliens weren't even real. That's immediately where my thoughts would go. Like, look at the fact that, the government literally basically came out and said aliens are real. And everybody went, yeah, who cares? What about the Epstein files? Like, we already know aliens are real. Like, we don't know if they're here, but we know that they're real. Fuck, what? Nobody's... Like, most people aren't so narcissistic as to believe that we're the only planet in the entire universe that was able to get sentient life. That would be silly. But is it here? Probably not. Maybe. It could be. But I don't know. I'm a 50-50 on it. But I don't know. It's funny. If we found aliens, they would be class 2 or higher. Oh, yeah. If we found real aliens, either we would be completely fucked or they would save humanity. Because if real aliens showed up, there's only 2 cases. Either it's like the Warhammer 40k future, where every alien is a psychopath and trying to kill everybody and take over the entire galaxy, or it's the Star Trek future, where aliens finally discovered to work together as a society and as a species and went to the stars to help other planets do that, The fact that the said blatantly that aliens exist and we're at such a point it's like, oh, anyways, where's the Epstein files and when's the Strait going to be reopened? Yeah, exactly. We're just like, dog, we really just don't even care anymore. Like, aliens, that's the least of that's not even on our mind right now, What about the fact that Oliver Tree was talking about Mr. Pizza, who was 6'6" and was going around and like his whole thing was like Mr. Pizza is an evil monster who like tries to pretend to be a child, and then he dies in a helicopter crash 2 days after calling out the head of his, of his record label on stage. You know, I don't really care about aliens right now, you know?
Because they just really want to be right, and they want to be the ones to say, oh, I told you so. See, I am actually psychic. And I'll give you a little bit of context just to bring you up to speed, but, you know,
This is actually what he brings up here is there's a good example of this where whenever Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was this dude who everybody was like, holy shit, he knew. Look at his post. He made one post from 5 years ago that Charlie Kirk was going to be killed on this day. But then you go back and you use the Wayback Machine and you see, yeah, right. But you see the Wayback Machine, the guy had posted that same quote about like 500 different days. And, he just happened to get it right once. Oh, what the hell? Did the internet just shut off out there? Hello? It's still going? Come on. What the fuck? Are we back? I don't know what the hell happened there. That was wild. We're back? We're here? Okay. Yeah, wow. That was crazy. I don't remember what I was getting into even there because that just messed up my whole flow. But yeah. Also, I think that if anybody let's just get right back into it. If you don't think there's something fishy with the Charlie Kirk thing, then you know, you just need to sit down and eat your bowl of cereal and watch your cartoons and not think about anything else ever again because clearly there's something fishy going on there. You know, dude gets killed and the government paves over that spot in it like 3 days after he gets killed, right? Like that doesn't hit anybody as weird, you know? Like that's I don't know. That's just wild to me. And like, all right, you know, say what you will about Candace Owens, but a broken clock is right twice a day. You know what I mean? If Kirk was killed by a lone person, and so was JFK. Yeah, and I think we all know who got both of them for real.
considering how many conspiracy theories that have been thrown around this trial, it's just crazy. So in this video, I'm only going to outline the trial and I'll go over all the facts in a separate video because that's the only way I can sit here and actually cover it in a completely unbiased way. But anyway, the trial that's currently going on is surrounding Lindsay Clancy. She's a mother who's accused of taking the lives of her 3 young children and then attempting to take her own life by jumping out of a second-story window back in 2023.
By the way, the forensics said that she did it. She said that she did it. The husband said that she did it. Like, you know, come on.
This is beyond gruesome. This is horrific. But obviously, that wasn't the end of it because Lindsay survived. And now she's on trial for the deaths of her 3 children. So naturally, lots of people found it impossible to believe that a mother could be capable of doing something like this, despite her documented struggles with postpartum depression and thoughts of self-harm.
This is the other thing. A lot of people want to say she didn't have any support. The lady had a nanny 3 days a week. 2 of her kids were in daycare 5 days a week. The husband was a stay-at-home father. He worked from home. Both of their parents were involved in helping with the children. So, like, no matter what kind of excuse you want to give this crazy psycho bitch, she had more help than, like, 99% of American women. She had more help than basically anybody that exists in this system. And you said this is also a failure on the U.S. medical system. Not only that, but on the U.S. Justice system as well. Because if you know that, like, realistically, if you know someone's suffering from postpartum depression, you know that it's happening, you should say something. Like, you should realistically do something about that. You shouldn't just let it continue to happen. It's like all the time we hear, you know, some school shooter shoots up a school, and then 5 days later, it comes out that the FBI had been tracking them for years. And it's like, well, then what the fuck is even the point of this mass surveillance that we're doing if you can't even catch the guys that are going to do the bad stuff?
But regardless, there seems to be kind of this theme where if someone can't really make sense of something, they go looking somewhere else. And in this case, that's led to a whole bunch of crazy conspiracy.
He makes a good point here too, though, is a lot of people just don't want to believe that a mother could do this to their children. And I 100% understand that. Like, I don't even want to believe that this could happen. You know, this is a horrible, horrible thing. And you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, literally. This is horrible. But sometimes bad things happen that don't make sense. The FBI also has basically confirmed that there's like 25 to 50 active serial killers at any time. Yep, that doesn't surprise me. That honestly doesn't surprise me at all. I knew a dude way back in the day during high school who, you know, he wanted to be this edgelord. So I don't really believe what he said. But he told me whenever he was in high school, he said he gave me his entire plan for how he would be a serial killer. He said he would, once a year, he would put down everything he had and then just drive away, get all cash over the course of that year, and just pull out little bits of cash throughout the year. And then he would drive to a national park with like a big ass knife or something, using all cash along the way, and then he would just wait there and he'd take someone out and then he'd just drive back home. That's, you know, and whenever he told that to me, I was like, holy shit, that actually makes sense, and that sounds like you would get away with it way too easily. That scares the shit out of me. This guy was clearly just an edgelord, though, you know. Like, one time, someone threatened to beat him up, and he cried like a little bitch. So, you know, you said the fucking Zodiac Killer, no one knows who he is, still true.
Theories and TikTok psychics coming out of the woodworks with their own conspiracy theories, because I guess they're psychic or something like that, right? And it definitely doesn't help that in recent years, you've had other pretty viral stories like the stuff around Chris Watts. And I think this is kind of swaying people who just don't want to believe that Lindsay did this.
Is Chris Watts the guy from, that's not the guy from Mr. Beast, is it? I don't know. The only reason Bundy was caught because of a random traffic stop. It almost makes you wonder, how serious is the government about stopping these people? You know, the same government who props up people like Bill Gates, who says that he wants half of all humans to die.
Or want something crazy and a massive plot twist to happen for their own entertainment. Regardless, though, today we're talking about a woman by the name of Conscious Cal, a TikTok psychic who refers to herself as your spiritual...
Look, dude, if you're using an AI picture of yourself on the internet, you shouldn't be trusted. That much is obvious, right? Had the officer not been there, who knows how long it would have been before he was caught. You know what's crazy to me, though? And this does kind of tie in with the weaponized empathy and also the weird fetish that I've noticed a decent amount of women have for killers. Is he had like all sorts of love letters. He had tons of women trying to get with him after he was caught. It's a weird thing. I don't really understand it, but you know, that's just one of those things. And he escaped jail twice. Oh shit. Oh my god. How do you not have that guy on lock and key? Or under lock and key. I don't know what the phrase. How do you not have that guy buried under the jail? You know what I mean? Like, no chance of escape type shit. That's crazy. We have too much empathy for criminals to where it's like that guy should have just been put in solitary confinement, which is like in the very bottom of the jail. And is solitary confinement torture? Yes. Yes, it 100% is. But he still should have been there, obviously. You don't get to just torture and kill and you know, rape people and then just walk away from it without having bad shit happen to you, you know? At least not in a just world. He escaped through his ceiling in his cell? What the fuck? Yeah, so I guess if you put him in the basement, it wouldn't matter.
Bestie.
It's your spiritual bestie, Conscious Cal.
And she has a very bold claim that she can remote view. So
The
essentially,
second time
she's
he
claiming
escaped through a courthouse window? What the
that she can,
fuck?
like, I don't know, team viewer into someone's life or something like that, which is fascinating to say the least. Anyway, it's safe to say
Too many people were never told no. Too many people have not been told they were an idiot in their lifetime. Like, I remember I was talking to this girl for a little bit, And she tried to tell me that when she was a little kid, she started levitating once. And I had to tell her that she's an idiot because no, obviously that didn't happen. And it turns out that I was the very first, this lady was 28 years old, and I was the very first person that told her that in her entire life. Why? Because she was hot. That's why. You know, it's like the old thing where it's like you can be into like tarot cards and like all this weird shit as long as you're hot, and dudes will never ever tell you that you're wrong. They will just sit there and pretend like they believe in it. You got to be careful with these dudes out here who will just agree with you every time because they're looking for something, and that isn't a friend.
Say that she's had a lot to say about the Lindsay Clancy case. And a lot of people are saying, hey, ma'am, you're not just like tiptoeing into a defamation case. No, you're jumping headfirst in.
And like I said, with me personally, if you want to believe in tarot cards or ghosts or psychics, that for me is more of like a religious, or a spiritual belief. And so I don't actually have a problem with it. Like, to say that one person's religious or spiritual beliefs is stupid and that mine are right is kind of like narcissistic in a way. I can't know for sure that God is real. I can't know for sure that Christianity is true, and that's my religion. So who am I to tell you that yours is incorrect, you know? Because realistically, at the end of the day, that is a religious belief. If you believe that there's psychics or magic or whatever, it's another thing of like there's no proof, so you're taking it on faith, you know? People who say that Twitch isn't biased are also idiots because if a hot person streams on Twitch, they're a partner by end of the year. Yes. Yes, true. True. Or even biased on politics where like, you know, not to get on the Hassan hate train because like it's kind of overblown at this point, but it is ridiculous that he can play actual terrorist propaganda on stream and not get in trouble for it. But then if Asmongold says that you should shoot people at the border, then he gets banned. It's like it's definitely a bias going on there. You know, whether you believe in one side of the argument or the other or neither, you know, it's kind of beside the point because the bias is clear there.
Into one because what is this? So it all started with a video that she posted about a week ago.
I believe both sides are inherently corrupt. I think that's why we probably get along. Both sides do suck. They're the same wings, or they're two wings on one bird, you know? And that bird is flying in one direction. It can only ever fly in one direction. You said both sides are equally as bad as each other? Yeah, true. What's up, dude? Yeah. Anybody who doesn't see that by now is willfully ignorant, or there's three things. Either you're willfully ignorant, you're a straight up idiot, or you're paid. A great quote. They'll argue to the end of days on camera, but go to the bar for a shot after work. Dog, I straight up believe that Asmongold and Hassan are like best buds. I really do. I believe that Asmon and Hassan are like literally best friends. The way they make 2 videos, 3 videos about each other per day, and like all like they're always all super extreme and crazy. It just feels like that, you know. I feel like the Central is just rational, and I was far left, and I'll admit I was dumb. Oh, I went for sure way far left when I was a young teenager, and I went way far right whenever I first broke up with my long-term girlfriend, you know? Like, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I went 100% misogynist. Like I hated women for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then I just kind of realized that there's just really dumb people in the world, which is why whenever anybody says the argument to repeal the 19th, which is the right for women to vote, I say, no, that's stupid. What you need to do, because there's dumbass fucking men in the world too. What you need to do is have an IQ test or something better. You know, there's obviously probably a better way to tell if people are intelligent enough to vote. But right now, as someone who's just a stupid book, that would be my best option. We just need to have people that are smart voting. We can't be having idiots vote. Any extremity is bad, true. Far left is stupid. Far dumb is stupid. Oh, man.
where she not only
Well, you know what they say. You can't be right if you're left.
claims that she did some remote
Here's a litmus test for people. What was the U.S. founded on? Shit, dude. I mean, that's a multi-tiered question, really. That's a very deep multi-tiered question because, like, it's weird to say pickup trucks easy. Yeah, freedom. I mean, really though. Honestly, there's only if you want to go with a one-word answer, it's freedom. That's what America was built on. They say it only takes 3 generations to teach people, or to. They say it takes only 3 generations to actually propagandize to a people and to turn them against their own interest. And then you look at what's happened in the past like 100 years in America, and you go, "Oh shit, they're right." You said no, that was the Confederate which lost.
viewing and
The pickup trucks. Oh my
received
god.
downloads from Lindsay and Patrick, but she also
Holy
says
shit.
with 100% certainty that the husband did it.
Look, the weird thing about the Confederacy versus the Union too is that the Union only won because they had so many people. I mean, dude, realistically, Robert E. Lee was like a million times better of a general. Like, he was a way, way better general. And actually, the funny thing about Robert E. Lee is people think that he was a racist, but actually, Robert E. Lee was anti-slavery. He just lived in the southern states, so he felt loyal to the southern states, you know? So it's kind of like a catch-22. But Ulysses S. Grant was an actual horrible general. But he knew that he had the people, so he would just get wasted drunk and then send endless men to their death. So, like, you know, am I glad that the Union won? Obviously I am. Obviously I'm glad the Union won. But it's more, everything in history is more nuanced than people want to admit, you know? Want to hear a wild stat? In the last 50 years, our economy has gone from supporting the worker to supporting the corporation. And what happened in that time? Reagan. Yep. Oh, I 100% say Reagan was top 3 worst presidents we ever had. Top 3 worst presidents in all of history. I mean, he was literally an actor, which is what all of them are accused of being now. The American Civil War was way, way more complex than slavery. Oh, yeah, it was. I mean, you only need to look at the stat of whenever the Civil War broke out, 2.7% of Americans owned slaves. Only 2.7%. So it's not like everybody in the South was fighting to keep their slave because most of them didn't have one, you know. Reagan and the Bushes and Clintons. Yeah, the Bushes, the Clintons, they're for sure. Well, and it's funny because they say that Clinton made unemployment go down, but the thing is, and that wages went up during the Clinton administration. Except if you actually look at the statistics, it's because people were working twice as much during the Clinton administration than they were before because they couldn't survive without doing it, and and they were working minimum wage jobs way more often. It wasn't like Clinton did anything to help the economy. People just started working more until they realized that, oh wait, I'm working for nothing, and so they stopped. Like it's a weird thing, you know. As an outsider looking in, I 100% see that. Yeah, Reagan was awful. Trickle down economics. I mean, dude, anybody who heard trickle down economics didn't know history. Because we stopped the robber barons like 60 years before that. It wasn't even that long. Some of those people were still alive who dealt with robber barons. And they were like, yeah, you know what? Trickle-down economics makes sense. It's like, what are you, stupid? Wait, no one of them balanced the budget in the 90s? No, but the unemployment rate supposedly went down in the wide pay, or the amount of pay that the average person got went up during Clinton's administration, which is something they try to brag about. But like I said, when you look at the statistics, it's only because people started working 2 jobs instead of just one. They started working 60 hours a week. I think it was the actual average nationally was 53 hours a week during the Clinton administration, which is not the sign of a good economy or a good president.
That's a quote from her, not from me.
It's your spiritual bestie, Conscious Cal. I am a psychic medium if you don't know me. So I have taken a look at the Lindsay and Patrick Clancy case.
That's crazy.
So I did not look at any of the imagery. I did listen to some of the testimonies. I listened to them. And that is how I get my downloads.
I'll say it again. If you take a psychic seriously on the internet, you are a special kind of stupid.
my visions so that I can see or remote view. I guess some of you would call it remote viewing.
Oh, God. Remote viewing. Jesus Christ. Fun fact, for a single person to live in a big city by themselves, they would have to make $35 an hour. To go back 30 years ago, it was half. And if you look at it, back in the 1950s, the average employee, like not minimum wage, but the average worker was making about 130 bars worth of gold in dollars per year. And now we're making about 13. It's 10x, or it's divided itself by 10. So, like, the actual buying power is so much less for us than it was before. Got a strong memory of this guy that used to come into Subway every day. He was American, and he'd rant about Bush every day. He loved Clinton, though. Never understood 90% of what he said. That aside, nice dude. Used to give him a tip, or used to give me a tip, which was odd. Oh, yeah, because you guys don't really tip. I don't believe in tipping culture either. I think that tipping culture is one of those things that corporations have used to get away with abusing Americans because they don't pay us a living wage. If you work for tips, that means you make like $5 under the minimum wage. Like they could pay you $1 an hour. And then fair wages, not tips. That's my way of thinking. I should not be paying the salary of some guy who's walking out and giving me a plate of food. But also, I was a cook in many of these places where we had, usually I was a cook or a manager of a kitchen or something like that during my time in the workforce. That's where I spent like 50% of my work life was in the kitchen. And whenever you make the food, so you bring in the order from the truck, you put it all away, you make the food for the customer, and then you hand that plate to a waiter who then walks it out to somebody at the table. You slaved over the stove for 30 minutes, 10 to 30 minutes, depending on the meal, making sure that it was the perfect food. And then the waiter gets the tip for walking it from the kitchen to the table. That's goofball shit. So unless it's a taxi driver, no tips. Nah, fuck that, dude. Not even a taxi driver. You should have a straight wage. I don't believe in tipping. Never, for nothing, no how. I do it if I'm getting a delivery brought to my house, but that's only because the delivery drivers literally aren't paid and they have to have gas. So and also because a delivery driver doesn't have a camera in their car, so they can fuck with your food if you don't tip them. So if we do tips, it all goes in a pot and gets shared. Yeah, that would be nice. Which can be annoying because of lazy people, but it means cooks get some too. Yeah, well, my belief is if you can't do a job or aren't willing to do a job, then you shouldn't have one. We do too much of this right to work bullshit where everybody thinks everybody deserves a job. But the truth is, whenever you think everybody deserves a job, that takes away the power from the actual good employees who work hard, and it makes them not work as hard. If I, for a year straight, see 8 out of the 10 employees not doing shit, and me and my buddy are doing all the work, eventually we're just going to slow down. At a hotel, we did that system. At the hotel I worked at, we would just, whoever cleaned the room got the tip.
The events of what happened, and I'm just gonna say the husband, he does not want me to talk about this, the husband 110% did it.
Yeah, that's a crazy claim to make with that much certainty without any other facts than your own spiritual intuition.
Yeah, that is, dude. I listened to a couple of the tapes and my spiritual intuition told me that all of the forensic data is wrong. Like, what the fuck? Oh, he looked angry at the trial of his murdered kids, so I think he was guilty. What the fuck are we doing here? Of course he's gonna look angry. Of course he's gonna look dead inside. What? Like, what?
This is straight out of the textbook from Ashley Gilliard here. And no, she's not just like recounting things that she's already seen. No, Cal also closes her eyes mid-video and seems to be...
Why does this bitch look like Erica Kirk?
Downloading on the fly. Wait, I'm getting a download here. She might end up in some sort of defamation courtroom soon.
And I call this lady a bitch because she is one. This lady is taking advantage of the vulnerable, the emotionally vulnerable, and the intellectually deficient. That's what she's doing here.
Actually, I'm not even gonna LARP as a TikTok psychic because this is crazy and pathetic in every way.
It is.
Because obviously, we don't know all the details yet. The allegations seem quite damning, but it's
You described me.
not over yet. So maybe we should all just kind of sit back and let the courts do their thing.
The first thing that I see is he was planning this. I want to say
Jesus Christ, dog. I'm sorry, but you look at this, you take this seriously. I feel bad for you in a way. The education system has failed you.
3 to 4 months prior to him actually.
I hate psychics, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I said this earlier, but I do believe that if you believe in like a personal psychic, that's your own right, and to your religious freedom or whatever. Because I do see that as a religion. Is it crazy to me? Yes. Do I think it's wild? Yes. But as a man who believes in a giant, powerful being that created us and then just walked away and said, "Do what you want," I can't really, I can't really hate on him, because looking at Christianity from the outside in, it looks silly. It looks silly. So even though I fully believe in Christianity, it does look objectively silly. So I could see where these people are coming from. My mom believes in it all. Even after I proved how it all works by doing it. Yeah. I learned it just to prove a point. Well, yeah, and most of these psychics, like I would say 99.9% of these psychics don't believe it. The ones actually doing the psychic work don't even believe it. Now, there's probably a 0.1% that does believe it. And who knows? Maybe some of them are extremely lucky and they actually get a lot of shit right. But a lot of the psychic stuff is like, I'm going to put a camera outside of the building and listen to you and I'm going to keep the doors locked for 30 minutes after I'm supposed to open them. You and your friends are all going to stand outside and these random people and talk about what you hope gets brought up. You're going to talk about the pain of your life or how your dad is dead or something. And then when you walk in, I'm going to start talking about how your dad is dead. Like, oh, I'm talking to your father now. Like, yeah, so I don't know. With psychics, I more just feel bad for people that believe in it, for sure. But then it comes to like, people who believe in ghosts and stuff like that. That definitely gets more into their religious thing, but I don't know. It's the same thing where like this kind of is a litmus test in a way where it's like if you do believe in psychics, then you might just be dumb. You might just be a little bit of a dummy. You might be a little too gullible to be allowed to vote, which ties back into like the IQ thing, like, and not necessarily an IQ test, which is some sort of intelligence test to tell if people are smart enough to suss out the details of shit. Maybe some of it's even true. I can't prove it's not, but I can prove most of it's a hoax, I'm sure. Yes, that's actually a good way to put it, for sure.
Going through with his actions.
But then she claims, again, with like no disclaimers, that this is for entertainment purposes.
I feel like I am fence-sitting a little bit on this, but it is my actual belief. Like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of, well, I say I'm a big fan of religious freedom, but that's actually not true. that's actually not really true, because there are plenty of religions that I think are actively hurting the world. Like, way more than one, way more than two. And psychics actually kind of are one of them that are hurting the world. Sometimes I get stuck in this American loop of like, well, every religion is the same. Every religion is great. But, because that's like the natural American thought process, is that religion is just religion. It is what it is. But there are, for sure, worse, like, spiritual or religious or whatever, like, occult beliefs. Obviously, Scientology is a giant scam and none of it is real. And I feel bad for the people who were born into it and who actually fully believe in it. But it's really the perpetrators who I hate of the hoax, Or even, now this might get me a little bit of hate, but even Mormonism. Mormonism is kind of silly to me. I don't really see a world where a guy who is a known huckster or a scam artist, however you want to put it, for his entire life, who then saw some magic stones in a hat that nobody else was allowed to look at, and it told him that he could have sex with everybody's wife. Like, that's weird. And it also told him that the reason that Indian skin was the color it was because they killed Jesus and that they used to be white, and that the Garden of Eden is in Joplin, Missouri. Like, these are weird things. These are weird things to believe in that I just can't possibly cope with.
Or just her opinion, that Patrick was planning for 3 to 4 months before he carried out his actions. Again, her only proof is her spiritual intuitions, essentially, or her remote viewing and downloading this live. So, once again, she's still plainly saying that he committed this horrific act.
He tried multiple ways that he thought that he could, get rid of his wife. This was his plan. He is a sociopath. I believe he has some level of psychopathy.
All right, so by the way, the phone call that he made to the police has been leaked to the internet. I highly advise you do not listen to it. I had the mispleasure of accidentally scrolling past it on Twitter. It is horrifying. It is horrifying. This man, oh fuck, dude, it's so bad. Like, he's literally screaming and crying, my buddy, like, it's so bad. I don't know if it's actually the real tape or if it was like an AI approximation of it, but that is the transcript. Like, it was so dark. I don't know. To say, he probably will be a sociopath now. This guy probably has very little emotions left in his body, and he has every right to be that way.
When I connect with his energy, it's very reptilian, it's very gray. I see
she's bringing reptiles into it.
Like a muddy, greenish, orange around his aura. He's very narcissistic. He's very calculating.
And I can't believe I'm actually saying this.
All right, this man was so narcissistic that his wife was working a job, and he let her quit, took on a more difficult yet higher paying job to work from home to help her, bought her a nanny, got his other 2 kids in daycare, bought them a big house, and then whenever she asked him to go pick up dinner, he did. He did, just for her, and then he came home and his kids were dead, and his wife threw herself out the window. Dog, what are we even doing here?
But it seems like this is actually worse than what Ashley Gilliard is doing. What Ashley Gilliard was doing is horrific. It's awful. But somehow a woman just came out of nowhere within a year and outdid her. The bar was through the floor already. How are we lower? So not only is she saying that he tried multiple ways to get rid of his wife, but she also diagnoses him as a sociopath, possibly a psychopath, a reptilian, a narcissist, and says that he has a muddy green aura.
Oh, yeah.
And
I guess I should go back and say this about Mormonism. While I do think that their religion is pretty silly, I've never met a bad Mormon. In my entire life, I've met so many Mormons. I met a lot of them. And I even hung out with a group of them for a year. They would just come to my house like once a month. They would come inside, and we'd hang out for like 3 or 4 hours and just talk about like religion and stuff. It was cool. But I've never once met a Mormon that was a bad person, at least not to my face. They've always been good. The Mormon church helps out homeless people basically more than any other church. They'll help you get your life on track if you're failing. I might joke about the Mormons, right? Because their religion is a little silly to me personally, but they're definitely not on the same level as how bad Scientology is, for sure. They're definitely not on that level. I can't take the actual religion seriously, is what I mean.
We just have to trust her and her spiritual intuition. Okay,
yeah,
and this is all because
this is why I say that anybody who believes in psychics, it definitely is a religion, even if they don't want to admit it. It's because you're taking it on faith that this person is honest, that this person actually has the power. So whereas the actual perpetrators of the hoax are definitely not religious, like probably every time, if not most times, and they're probably scam artists and hucksters, like that much is probably true, but at the same time, the people who believe in it, that is their religion. Do I think they're dumb? They're dumb for it? Yes. Yeah, most of the time, yeah. But, like I said, it's the emotionally stunted and the intellectually deficient. It's the dumb people who are sad. Someone just looking for an answer.
Didn't emote the way that she wanted him to during the trial.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah, and a lot of people get into psychics because, like, their father died or someone really close to them, went missing or something, and they get closure from the psychic. It usually comes from a place of like deep pain that you can't explain and you can't understand.
Gee, I don't know. Maybe everyone processes horrific trauma differently.
I mean, to be able to sit there and someone's talking about your 3 unalived infant children.
Do we really have to say unalived? Is everybody a goddamn pussy now? Is everybody a goddamn pussy? You can actually just say the thing, You don't have to obfuscate everything. You can use the word kill. You don't have to use the word unalived. You just sound like an idiot, and everybody still knows you're saying killed. What are we doing here? If talking about killing is not allowed, then talking about unaliving is not allowed. What are we doing?
For toddler-aged young children, and to have zero emotion, not a tear, not a hiccup, not a deep breath, not a deep...
This thing didn't just happen. This was like a year ago, right? So this dude is dead inside, and he definitely... he has every right to be dead inside at this point. I would 100% feel the same way.
Not a ounce of this visible pain. That kind of tells us the reptilian nature of his psyche.
Oh my
and
God.
I use that term because they are cold. Reptiles and reptilians are cold-blooded. They do not feel, they do not have emotions the way that we do.
I am just dumbfounded that she's actually making these TikToks unironically. Even if she was making them unironically, she would be a pathetic piece of...
Yeah.
But still, the fact that she's doing this unironically is just beyond me.
You about to sneeze? She looked like she was about to sneeze.
Lindsay first. But what I'm seeing is that he put all the kids in the basement first. They were alive. And what happened in the bedroom, it's very weird. I think he tried to actually lacerate her neck and then realized that it would be way too messy and that it would be harder for him to clean it up. But what I saw is it would be harder for him to clean it up. So he decided, I'm not going to do this way. But I actually think she tried to kind of fight him in her inebriated state. He had been gaslighting and drugging her and doing all these things prior to the...
Dog, call me Thomas Edison because I hate the term gaslighting, dude. It's crazy. Gaslighting. That shit's overused to the point to where it has no meaning anymore. It's like calling someone a Nazi. At this point, you call someone a Nazi or a racist and they don't even give you a second thought because it's been overused to the point to ad absurdum, to where everybody's just like, whatever, dude, get out of here. Like, I just don't even care anymore. Like, yeah, sure, call me a Nazi, okay, all right, now go back to your chai tea, I don't care. Like, you can't, once you overuse these words, once you overuse these things that could be actual problems, they end up becoming a joke. And that inherently in itself is a problem.
Incident. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's just making stuff up at this point, like claiming that Patrick was doing this to Lindsay before the night of the actual incident. I mean, this is a very serious thing to be alleging. And she also claims that this could have just happened because Lindsay was a light worker and Patrick was simply jealous.
By the way, Patrick is not a public figure, so he could sue the hell out of this lady for defamation and win pretty easily. Like, as soon as Lindsay Clancy's trial is over, and she goes to jail, he could go around and sue all of these TikTokers into oblivion. So, like, the burden of proof for defamation is not nearly as high for somebody who's just a regular person versus somebody who's, like, an entertainer or a public figure. Which is why Johnny Depp's trial took so long and was so difficult. But if the same stuff was said about Johnny Depp and he wasn't a public figure, it would have been a much faster trial. It would have been way, way faster.
Again, all of this is just complete speculation. She's pulling out of nowhere.
There is some darkness, some dark entity. And actually, this is because...
the dark entity is actually you, lady.
Lindsay was a very light worker,
crazy.
almost like she was a nurse. She was a light worker. And he was very jealous of her, envious of her. He possessed no emotionality. He can only mimic emotions, but he doesn't feel them on his own. So when he sees someone that's empathetic in nature, a mother, a nurse doing all these things, he gaslighted her for years.
By the way, we're going to talk about how he sat there angry and emotionless after that whenever Lindsay Clancy herself stood there and mean-mugged the jury the entire time, just stared into their soul with pure hate. Like, come on. What are we even doing?
Years, their entire marriage, that she was nuts.
So her conclusion is his only option was to take out his entire family?
Yeah,
How
what?
is
And also, if he called her nuts during their marriage, and then it turns out she did what she did, maybe he was right. Maybe he was right about her being fucking crazy.
this a real person? This is just so...
And the whole insanity defense, I hate the insanity defense. I don't think it should be allowed. If you killed somebody, you're crazy. Normal people don't just go around killing people. So, like, if you're gonna make killing people illegal, which it should be, then you can't have a insanity defense. Oh, well, I was just insane. Yeah, clearly you were. Now get in the chair.
concerning to me. Oh my. And then, of course, she ends her first video by saying plainly, she believes that Patrick is guilty.
This man is guilty. The craziest thing to me is as I'm watching him commit these acts, the same way you see him in the courthouse with zero emotion is the same way that he did this.
Wow, and I believe she's a complete moron. Anyway, on her page, her comments are flooded with other psychics corroborating her claims and saying that they had their own visions that matched up with hers.
Oh
Yeah,
my
apparently there's
God.
more of them. I don't know. I think this is pretty much the...
I had a dream about my dog last night where my dog died last year. He was my favorite buddy in the whole world. And I had a dream about him last night where I was petting and hugging him. I didn't wake up going, well, he's definitely still alive somewhere. No, he for sure is. No. I recognize that was just me having a dream.
textbook example of a clout demon. And now, obviously, a whole bunch of people are agreeing with her, and they're coming out and saying that they just know more than what the prosecutors do, apparently. Okay, and this obviously just fueled her more, because she came back with a part 2, where she claims that she is being spiritually attacked for posting her video exposing the truth. Maybe that's what's left of her consciousness that might be telling her not to do this.
After I posted my first psychic reading, I was walking to my bathroom and I felt like someone pushed me down. I busted my... freaked out because it literally... there was no
should be pushed down, lady.
way I could have fallen
What's going on
to
over?
my bathroom out of my beauty dressing room. So I think it was something connected to this very evil entity, this...
You can't say that while I'm taking a drink, man. I busted too.
reptilian demonic energy that is connected to Patrick.
Man,
Okay.
now my pants are wet. I literally spit my drink out onto my lap, dude. What the fuck?
So now he's not only responsible for her crimes, but he's also responsible for
Oh
her
my
tripping in her
God.
home. And she then launches into her next reading, but not before promoting her beef tallow balm that she apparently sells.
God.
So that is definitely one of the more interesting product placements I've seen in a minute. But here we are. The social media universe is crazy these days.
To the reading, if you guys would like to support me, please follow Talia Blue Skincare. This is a very healing tallow balm that I created.
I don't know, but hopefully her customers aren't walking around in bear country with that stuff on them. Anyway,
Yeah,
she then brings
support
us
me.
into her next
Yeah.
insane...
If you guys want to like help me try to ruin other people's lives and turn men against women and make men want to repeal the 19th Amendment, then buy my bath bomb.
theory by claiming this is actually all tied to the Salem witch trials.
It is.
This is connected.
Oh, dog. No, but people are tying this to the Salem witch trials. Maybe not for the way that she's saying this, but there's a lot of there's a lot of people on the internet now making the joke that the Salem witch trials were actually based. That the Salem witch trials were a way to be like, all right, you're gonna be a crazy ass lady. You're gonna get burned to death. Don't be crazy. Like, it's obviously ridiculous. It's obviously ridiculous, but you know, the more you got to call out people like this, you know, and if you're a woman, then you especially have to call out people like this, because if you don't, then like there's gonna be conversations that you don't even want to have. You know, people are gonna start regretting and making changes. So, you know, you gotta stop the worst people in your group. I say this all the time. You've got to stop the worst people in your group. You can't just let the worst people in your group run around. You've got to condemn them. That's the deal.
Connected to the Salem witch trials. Some of you were commenting that, and I was kind of like, I didn't really pick up on that originally.
Excuse me, what? And then she kind
No
of
one
admits
can
that
stop
she
me.
doesn't think that at first, but after reading a bunch of comments of people claiming that, she magically had a meditation where it was all confirmed to her. I mean, she's pretty much a black belt in mental gymnastics at this point. This is crazy.
So I sat in meditation
true.
after the falling happened, after getting pushed, because obviously someone or something doesn't want this information coming out.
Dog. And here's the thing. Do you think that she actually even fell over? Because I doubt it. I doubt she even slipped, let alone got pushed by a ghost. Like, this is a full-on grifter. This lady is the same thing as, like, Harold Camping. Like, the same thing as these mega church guys. It's all the same deal where, like, they're just grifting. They, like, do you think these mega church pastors believe in the religion? That they're, like, no mega church guy believes in Christianity. This lady doesn't believe in ghosts. She might believe in ghosts, actually. She does look fucking like a weirdo, crazy person. But she doesn't believe a ghost pushed her over. I don't know the context, but based on how she looks, she 100% lies. True. Hey, you know what? As a book myself, I say it's 100% okay and based to judge a book by its cover. If they believed in Christianity, they'd be like Dolly. Yes, who was... dude, I heard somebody... on the, I like almost lost my shit. I just had to block this person because I realized that it said Malaysia, and I was like, okay, they're just trying to make people mad. But I saw somebody post like that Dolly Parton was a demon follower because she was Protestant, and I'm like, you're actually crazy. That lady could have been rich as hell, and instead was the biggest funder and the biggest helper to fight childhood illiteracy in the entire world. Like that lady helped more children than anybody else. Literally. Giving books to kids. Yeah, Dolly could have been a billionaire, but she spent... Exactly. Dolly Parton was a straight-up angel. The exact opposite of a demon. Don't judge a book by its cover, but I read that book cover 200 times. Yeah, dude. No, I'll always judge a book by its cover. In fact. You know, sometimes you could be wrong. But I'd say it's probably a lot healthier for you in the long run to judge a book by its cover. You'll probably end up living a longer, healthier life if you do. You have a crazy video for me? Oh, yeah, let me make sure to share that whenever this video is...
I saw a woman in this vision I had while in meditation.
Never mind the fact that anybody who works for Dolly World got a free ride to college and the best healthcare in America. Yeah. Dolly Parton was an actual angel. Like, we lost a really good one. The problem is that we've been raised in a culture now that believes that the only way you can get to the top is to step on some hands and slit some throats. So now all of the like rich, famous people we have are just assholes that just take advantage of people.
With crazy, like, grayish hair, but it almost looked like it was
You said
burnt.
maybe the book has its season 8
Because they burnt them. And she was a very older woman. And she was watching the house.
Oh my God.
And she was just standing there in the snow
Yeah,
watching
she literally grew
the
up dirt
houses.
poor, and she had a dirt floor. Her father couldn't even read. Yeah, I think that's the other thing, is that most of the famous people now were raised rich, and their parents were probably either famous or at least in the industry. So we don't really have any organic famous people anymore. There's no Johnny Cashes. There's no Dolly Partons coming up. You know, now it's all Van Halen's son. You know, Speed. Oh God, dude, Speed. Look, he could be all right. Speed could be all right, but he's also... There's a certain cohort of people on the internet who are making it look like it's cool to be retarded. And Speed is one of those people. XQC is another one of those people. There's a lot of people on the internet that are just... Not a lot, but there's enough of them that are super famous that it hurts my soul to do it. You know? Actually... That is true. I forgot about that, Jessica. I totally forgot about that. Now that you put that way, Speed used to be doing this, but Jessica brought up a great point. Speed is doing something I never thought I'd see. He's reading on Twitch and actively trying to convince people to do so. That is true. I totally forgot about that. So actually Speed is... Because he said himself that he could barely read. He was like, yeah, I have a hard time reading. Like, I don't know a lot of words. And he actively is working to better himself now. So, I mean, he might have come up with the way I was talking about before, but he is actively trying to help people now, and I can respect the shit out of that. So, now that you brought that up, actually, I like Speed. Speed's cool. Never mind. But there is still a cohort of people that I was talking about before. He admitted himself he was technically illiterate. Yeah. Yeah, that dude. So he's actively working. It's like seeing a fat guy at the gym. If I see a fat guy at the gym, I will never, ever make fun of him. I'll always say he's a great dude trying to better himself. It's the same thing with an illiterate person trying to read a book, you know? And trying to better themselves. If you're trying to get better, you're trying to actively improve, then anybody who makes fun of you for that is actually just a loser. It's somebody who can't do it themselves, so I don't know. You know, so speed may, you know, I went a little hard on him. He is good. He said, unlike, he's at least trying to do something unlike XQC. Yes, XQC is just a corporate shill who will push gambling onto children. He'll do gambling streams and tell kids how cool it is to gamble and all this, and then he'll tell people that, oh well, you shouldn't even look at the leaks. The leaker for GTA 5 or GTA 6 is evil. And it's like, dog, you push gambling onto children. Shut up, you know, right? Is that a reminder that people watch stupid shit to make them feel better, to make them superior? Yes. Tim is another one of those horrible creators. He's nothing but a cod chill. Yeah, agreed. Tim the Tat Man. To make them say it, shit's so stupid. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Speed's alright. Speed's alright. XQC? Nah. Tim the Tat Man? Nah.
Entity is connected to the Salem witch trials. This is why.
You know what? This is one of the things I like about the Peanut Man, though, is that while Peanut is like a goofball and he's not really very smart, he has this really dumb friend on his on his show, and he constantly is just like, dude, he's constantly shaming him for being stupid. And the truth is, we need more shame in the world, not less. Can we agree that Mr. Beast ruined content? I don't even think Mr. Beast is real. I don't think his engagement is real. I don't think that anything he does is real. I believe that Mr. Beast is some kind of like weird subversive plant. Now that's definitely a conspiracy coming from me, but I 100% believe that Speed is like, or not Speed, wow, I was thinking about him earlier. Mr. Beast is some kind of weird subversive plant to like, dog, like recently he rented out an entire town and paid an actual police force to not do their job and chase him down for a day, where he was blowing shit up with explosives and stuff. What are we even doing here anymore? For my recording, Speed never promoted gambling. No, not Speed, XQC. Not Speed, XQC promoted gambling. XQC does gambling streams all the time. I might have mixed up their names there. If I did, that's my fault. No, Speed never did that. But XQC pushed gambling onto kids and then said we shouldn't look at the GTA leaks because it's mean to the corporation. Like, he's trying to moralize to us and stuff. Yeah, no, not Speed. I think Mr. Beast has started out as an actual content creator, but some group is funding him. I could definitely see that. I could for sure see that. But whatever it is, I don't believe he's genuine in any way. And everything he does turns out to actually either be a scam or be outwardly actually evil and taking advantage of people. There's very little things he's done that's actually helped anybody at all. It just looks like he did.
All of this happened. Everything has a supernatural influence.
We got
whether
distracted.
You believe it or not, that is the tea.
Okay, so now it's not really Patrick.
You said he says he's broke, but it's literally well known that he's worth like 50 or $5 billion. Yeah. I hate people like that. You know, there's a thing that Asmongold does to me that fucks me up with too. Asmongold likes to talk about how he grew up poor. He likes to role play as a guy who grew up poor. Whenever his dad was a college professor, and who wasn't home, granted, he was paying child support though. His dad was a college professor who he says was involved and did help his mom help him the whole entire time, and his mom lived off of government funding. So, and they owned a house. They owned the house that they lived in. His mom owned the house. He still has the house to this day, but he grew up poor. Yeah, fucking right, bro. I'm sorry, you didn't grow up poor. Dude, if your dad was a college professor and then he also went on to be not a CEO, but like I don't remember what version, but it was an executive. He went on to become an executive of a company while Asmund was still a kid. He had a computer and internet in his house growing up. That's not poor. That's not poor at all. Dog, I grew up poor in America. You know what I had? I had two parents that were in and out of jail. I had no internet in my house growing up at all. I had no computer growing up at all, even. My gaming system, whenever the PlayStation 2 was out, was a Super Nintendo. Because that's how poor we were. We could afford the Super Nintendo. Because back then it wasn't a collector's item as well. It was a lot cheaper. But, yeah. Dude, no. Whenever I hear that, like, there was a weeks at a time, like a week straight, where I just wouldn't be able to eat because we didn't have food in the house. Not like, oh man, I can only eat ramen or something. No, I mean, there's literally nothing in the house, and for 5 days straight, there was nothing to eat. Like, I don't want to hear he grew up poor. He didn't even grow up close to poor. Not at all. You said poor with an asterisk? Yeah. I grew up lower middle class, but that was also in the 2000s, 2010s. It was a lot different. Yeah. Like lower middle class as in we could afford things, but a lot of stuff we got was layaway. Yeah, that fair enough. And I'm not like saying that anybody is evil or good for growing up poor or rich. I'm just saying, admit it, like admit who you were, because you were not poor growing up if you had internet and food in your house every day. I'm sorry, you just weren't at all. I didn't get a phone till middle school, you said? I didn't get a phone until I was 22 years old. That was the first time I got a phone. Yeah. So, I'm 31 now. Didn't have my own computer till middle school. Yeah, I actually got my first computer. The one I'm using now was actually my first computer that I own, and it was about 5 years ago when I bought it from a friend. You all shared one computer? Yeah. Yeah, but this dude had a computer. He and his mom both had a computer. They had internet in their house. Like, I'm not an Asmongold hater. I think Asmongold is fine. A lot of the takes he gives are fine. Whatever, he's funny to watch sometimes. Not so much anymore for me. But I get the appeal. And I still do watch him from time to time, whatever. But I hate this whole like LARPing as a poor guy, because I've known a lot of kids growing up who did that. They would LARP as poor, pretend that they were poor growing up. That's not what they were. You said that was normal at the time. Yeah, most houses only had one PC till the 2010s. True.
It was a supernatural entity from the Salem witch trials controlling him like some sort of NPC. He was maybe just like a shadow priest, and he was casting mind control on him and doing all these horrific acts. Like, what's going on here? I'm kind of shocked that this is a real video that's actually being taken seriously on the internet. Wow. And yeah. Cal, make sure to clarify that she still stands by her timeline of events, meaning she still is fully
nowadays you're so spoiled. All these toddlers get tablets, dude. My sister's a lot younger than me. I think I was 11 when she was born. And when she went into first grade, they gave her a tablet. The school did. It was crazy. You had your first PC at 15, you think? Damn. Yeah.
Using Patrick.
I stand by my first timeline and events when I first channeled this energy that he had committed the acts, Lindsay first, okay? And he kept going on. Why do you think he changed his boots? Because he had to go back in the snow to see if she had passed away or not.
I mean, she believes that this horrific crime happened so all the women can unite and empower the divine feminine.
This is uniting us. I know that
No, dude. Dog, you want to lose your rights? This is how you lose your rights. These people got to stop doing this, dude. These people got to stop doing this, man. Because there's enough fucking crazy dummies that'll hear this and go, you know what? Every woman's stupid and evil. And it's like, dude, let's calm down a little bit. Sure, do I think that there's fucking a problem with weaponized empathy happening with women? For sure. Way more than men. I think there's the government itself in Hollywood is weaponizing female empathy and the like emotional intelligence of women against themselves. That's really what I believe. And that happens with propaganda being raised and taught in school. Like there's many, many, many different things that does this. It's not just one contributing factor. But and then they're using men's anger and our natural aggression to pit us against each other. It's actually crazy. Said I want to hit my monitor for some reason. You know, when tech first got introduced to my school fully when I was 13 in 7th grade, that was 2014 to this day. That was the worst decision I've ever seen. Well, to be fair, for me, the only reason I even really am tech savvy at all is because of school. So, my nose is all fucking stuffed up. I got sinus problems right now. But, the only reason that I even know anything about computers is I went to a pretty rich kid school. Like, I was Kenny from South Park, but everybody else was Token. Like, everybody else had a lot of money, pretty much. And I was in 2nd grade, I was put in the advanced placement classes, so, like, every student had a computer at their desk that they could use. Yeah, we didn't take it home then. These were desktop computers, but yeah. And for pretty much my entire time in school, I was allowed to use computers. That was just because I was extremely lucky. And honestly, I don't even think I was that smart. I think it's because I was so poor that I was actually like a diversity in the class. You know, because I would walk in with like tatters in the shirt and fucking smell like shit all the time to school. So like they're like, oh yeah, this is the diversity we need. Like, look how poor this kid is. He's smart. Like, you know, I was not. Is it giving kids Chromebooks top 5 worst decisions ever? It depends. As long as people have active parents, then any technology you give them will not hinder their development. It'll only help it. You just have to have parents that are active. Said you remember your first PC your family ran was Windows 3.1? Your aunt gave it to you when she bought a new one? Dude, my Windows 2000 Professional for you, where my grandmother on my dad's side, whenever she was really young, was a secretary for one of the companies that ran like the very first computers. Like, she worked with one of the first computers that she said it took up an entire room and all this shit, you know. By the time I was born, she lived in a trailer in the middle of the woods. So, you know, quite a turnabout. But of course, that's the issue, and that's actually the video I want to show you. Yeah.
It is a
We definitely
horrific
got to see it after
situation,
this.
but when I look at it from a higher energy, a higher perspective, we are speaking our truths about people like this, reptilian, predatory people like this, and men and women. Okay, the narcissists, the psychopaths, all of them are not getting away with the things they so
Dog, this is really the pot calling the kettle a racial slur right here. She's calling out people for being narcissists and psychopaths with her fucking chipmunk ass face and her squirrel teeth and her evil bullshit that she's pushing.
callously think they get away with. And
So if you ever have kids with someone, they'll not get internet access till they're in middle school. I mean, that is a choice that you can make, and as a parent, it's your own choice. I would, however, tell you that for me, I let my kid use the internet. I'm actively involved when she does. She obviously doesn't get to go onto anything like Facebook or anything, but YouTube, you know, she doesn't play video games online, but she plays video games offline. But like YouTube, TV, I let her watch these things. And I just get involved. I sit down and I watch it with her. But they won't get their own access to middle school. Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. Let them but control it. Yes, that's exactly how it should be. Because and I can walk away for 30 minutes, an hour now at this point, because we've sat down, we've been engaged with it for so long together, that if she does see something bad, she'll come up and ask me what it is. She'll say, I don't know what this was, but I think it was bad. You know, can you explain it to me? And we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation. Obviously, she doesn't say it like that because she's still very young, but it's the thought of that. You know what I mean? But best believe all of their devices will be hard locked down. Yeah. I mean, she's never gonna go in a room and lock her door with her, and she uses the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, for YouTube and stuff. But yeah. They will learn it's a forbidden thing, and out of curiosity, they'll want to find ways to do it. That, and if you don't let your kid on, like, to watch YouTube or stuff, that's going to make them a loser. It will make them a loser if they don't have access to at least some of the stuff that the other kids do. You know? It's like in middle school, we were all watching South Park at this point. We were all at least sneaking in South Park. But there was always that one kid whose parents would like lock it down and they were not able to watch South Park. And we made fun of them relentlessly to the point where they started sucking on 9-volt batteries for fun. So you gotta be you gotta be careful with this sort of thing, you know? No browser, no store access, no apps. Yeah, just what I put on there. That's where it is. Yeah, that's where hers is too. I just took all the devices for my 16-year-old because she was locking herself in a room all day and being a total bitch. I had to kick out my youngest sister. She was staying in my house for a couple of weeks. And for the entire 3 weeks she stayed here, she laid in her bed under her blanket, playing on her phone or her laptop, and did not get up once. And I told her several times, you can't do this. You can't do this. She kept doing it. I said, get out. Go somewhere else.
Patrick, 1000% in his narcissism, thinks he is going to get away with it. He is not. That they have shown me his day is coming. His day of judgment will surely arrive if it has not already.
Yeah, this is definitely a fascinating use of free will. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but isn't it a little bit ironic to, call someone a narcissist who believes they are always right while claiming that you had psychic visions to prove that someone is a... And obviously you have no other proof other than...
That's what I call phone being locked in a case that she can see but not open. Oh my God, that'd be funny.
And your own spiritual intuition. Is it...
Hey, kids are smart enough to get past stuff like that, though. The thing is, if a kid wants to get into something, they will. Like, dude, whenever I was young, my grandma used to lock the garage with... Not my grandma, but like my aunt who was staying with us, who was helping my grandma. She would be a total bitch and lock the garage with a padlock whenever we weren't listening to her, because we never listened to her because she was fat and stupid. So we never listened to her at all. She looked like Dr. Eggman and was way more evil than him. And so and this was with like a master lock, and it just got to the point to where me and any of my buddies with a single paperclip now can pick any master lock. You put a master lock in front of me with a keyhole in it, I'll get that thing open in 1 minute. Tops, too. So, like, kids will get into shit if they want. If they want to break the glass, I locked it in a glass case. Master locks can be open with master locks, but then you break them and stuff. Or, I mean, even if you don't break them. But it's easy enough to just stick a paperclip up in there, push down the tumblers, and wiggle it around until you can just pull the lock open. Honestly. You don't even have to break them. Oh, word. I just leave them sitting there on the counter, and I blocked all the devices on the Wi-Fi. That's so funny. Oh, my God. They're comically insecure. Yeah, but so we could even do it with, like, I could break into my own house right now. I could break into, at this point, like, because of how often we were picking the locks. I had a buddy who, like, got locked out of his house, actually, a few weeks ago. And we're driving, it was a few months ago now, and we're driving around, and he's like, we get back to his house, and he's like, fuck, dude, I'm locked out, and I'm like, oh, here, and he had a paperclip in his car, because he smokes weed, and to pick out the pipe with, so I just take the paperclip, I shove it into the lock, I wiggle it around a little bit, and then I stick my debit card into the door handle, and just push on the little tumbler until it pops, or the little locking thing until it pops open, and push his door open. It took me like a minute and a half. Like, there's so many stories on the internet with the family that locked the daughter, option to date boys, no boyfriend until you're 21, and then they end up like Bonnie Blue. True. That's very true. You've got to learn things before you're a certain age. Like, there's a reason why we teach children, and we don't wait till they're adults to teach them. It's because a lot of the stuff that you learn when you're a kid is how you're going to be when you're an adult. The only locks that aren't insecure are not typical locks.
Isn't that a bit
true.
Narcissistic? But hey, it's still all downhill from here. Things somehow get worse. So Cal uses Patrick's birth chart to come to the conclusion that he just did all this. And then she even goes even further by saying that because of that, he's obviously a serial. Because of his birth chart.
This is my part 3 astrology reading of the Clancy case. And I'm going to focus on my little serial killer. Oh, can I say that? Serial unaliver.
Sometimes you...
Why, dog? Oh my God. The unaliving thing just makes me fucking, like, it makes me mad and sad at the same time that this is where we're at. Should I get off from me as an example? Parents, how do they deal with me? Instead of teaching me how to pick friends and what's good and bad, what they just kind of locked you away, told you don't hang out with them.
Do you think you've seen the worst of it
That
on
friend is
TikTok?
bad.
But then you get hit with videos like this, and you're like, "Oh boy, I thought I saw the worst of
It's
it."
funny. I was the bad friend. I was the kid that they were like, no, that's a bad kid. Stay away from him.
That at the TikTok psychic
To be fair, they were right.
trial, but now I'm sitting here like, this trial will probably one up that. This will be even more crazy. And what I hate about both situations are both of these are like spin-off events from a horrific tragedy. This is absolutely not where the focus should be, but I also feel like I need to
You
make
go
a
to your parents and, oh man, I you know, gaslight has kind of lost its power to me now. The phrase of gaslighting. But I do understand what you mean. They said they go to my parents and gaslight them in 2 weeks. No one will ever play with me. I was a bad kid too, but they blame that others teach me. Dude, I remember, so I'm hanging out with my buddy Brett. Me and this dude Brett were like best friends at one point in middle school. And then he doesn't show up at my 7th grade or 8th grade birthday party. And so we all go to school the next week, and I convince everybody to make fun of him relentlessly. We're all making fun of him. Dude, you didn't show up. You're such a little bitch. Like, you couldn't even hang out. And then he goes, yeah, my dad died on the weekend. And I'm like, oh, no, Brett. Oh, fuck, man. Oh, man, that sucks. And then about 6 months later, we're hanging out again. We're finally hanging out again. And then his mom pulls up to my house, sees that it's my house that he's at, and screams at him to get in the car, and he's no longer allowed to ever hang out with me again. And then whenever we get to school the next day, I ask him what that was all about. Turns out that my uncle had killed his cousin. Yeah. So I was like, all right, Brett, we can't be friends. I mean, I know we're friends, but we can't do it. All right? Like, what the fuck, right? It's crazy. It's actually crazy shit. How could my sweet boy do such a thing? It was sad how everyone run from me just because they'll get grounded. Oh, God, yeah.
a video on something like this because
There's always that one parent, though, that will do that shit.
These
See, I just let those people come to my house because I didn't really have parents, so I could not get in trouble.
people are just running around on TikTok with free reign doing this, and you have a bunch of people believing them for some reason. And if you don't have people actually calling them out, it'll just kind of run rampant without any.
Every now and then you get a casual lore drop from the Reed about some wild shit from his past,
pushback. And this stuff is just so insane.
I was sitting there hanging out with my granny one day, and that's my dad's mom, and we're sitting there watching the news, and I go to the bathroom, and she yells at me to Reed, come back, come here, come look at this real quick, and she's laughing her ass off. She's laughing so hard, and I come back, and I'm looking at the news, and it's my uncle getting arrested for murder. And she thought it was the funniest fucking thing that she ever saw. She hated that side of the family. That was the other side,
Saying that I feel insane that I have to sit here and make a video. Of course, it gets even more insane because not only is he being mind controlled by someone from the Salem witch trials, no, he also did this because apparently his star sign is a Gemini. Okay, so yeah, clearly everyone.
I got the next video copied in my notes.
Born in like what, late May or something, they're gonna do something like this. Like what is this logic here?
Yeah, this is crazy. I'm sorry, but astrology is crazy to me. It's absolutely wild to me. If you believe in astrology, like if I'm talking to a girl and she asks me what sign I am, then I'm just gonna stop talking to her, realistically, because that shit's wild to me.
Means secrets, okay?
Like I think that if you believe in it, it's totally cool. That's up to you, whatever. But I don't really want you in my life at the same time. You say if you believe it's fine. Yeah, no, exactly. Like you can believe in it all you want. Over there, you could believe in it over there in your own room, in your own place, not next to me. I'm good. I'm so good on that.
Public and private enemies, things done.
Said my explanation of astrology, the world revolves around myself. The stars light years away at my birth define everything I am and do, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, it's like the whole. It's like I feel like humans have free will. We have control over our own lives. And to say that the stars or whether Mercury or not is in retrograde and whether that matters to how you act as a human being takes away the agency of a person. It takes away the agency of a soul, you know? Like, I heard a theory from my old boss once a long time ago that blew my mind for a while until I stopped being stoned. And he said he said to me, he was like, "What if everything that happened today actually happened yesterday and you're actually seeing it today, and that influences what happens tomorrow, which is actually today based on the way you feel?" And I'm like, "Dog, are you okay?" Actually, right then I was stoned and I was like, "Whoa, dude, you're so right." But then after that, I was like, "What the hell? This is my boss?" Said my wife is a crazy rock person. The shit she says sometimes makes me wonder what's wrong with me for loving her. Hey, opposites attract, I guess. OMG, you're a Leo, you're a monkey, you're the worst. Yeah. Is that the monkey sign? I don't know. Or probably the same month, yeah. Or is that a year? The years are the signs of the animals, right? And then the months are the sign of like the stars and shit. Yeah, I don't know. I know that I'm I only know that I'm an Aries because I like Greek mythology and it was cool to find out. Besides for that, I really don't give a shit, Like, it's like, oh, cool, I'm Aries. Cool, dude. I fucking knew it. Fucking knew I was. It's an excuse to get rid of your own responsibility for your actions. Yep, it surely is. I mean, give me a percent, no idea. Now you get 2 zodiac thing, 1 main, and now a secondary trait. Ah, jeez Louise.
In the dark brought to light. Having
See,
Cancer
I'm behind on this.
there, the node there, and then having these 3 Gemini placements. This is a very volatile inner world. Gemini is the mind, it's intellect. He is so calculating, like cold and calculated. So the 2 biggest criminals, Gemini, sadistic, serial unalivers, Cancer, #1 at the top.
Serial unalivers. I hate that shit, dude. Just say it. So just say serial killers. Everybody knows what you're saying. Everybody know. How is it that saying kill is against the rules, but saying unalive isn't? That's retarded.
Top of the list for all crime because they act in what? Emotion. They have no control of their impulse, their emotion. They're moving with the tides of the moon, right?
Oh my goodness, this is just so infuriating. And
It
again,
is.
because I
He's
guess
right.
she just wants to
Let some time
quadruple
pass with
down.
3
She says that
zodiac
she
signs.
knows that
No, eventually it'll be what percentage of each 12 are you?
he did this.
I can read the charts, I can read you and know the T immediately that you did this. Patrick did this, talking directly to you, you Gemini demon.
And what do you know? Of course, she brings up the Chris Watts case and references the Netflix documentary. So,
Nah, dude, please, Zero, tell me you're just messing with me. Please tell me your wife doesn't actually leave bottles of water outside during the full moon to collect moon water. That's actually crazy, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh Jesus. What's wrong with us, you guys? What's wrong with us? Yeah, you know what? As long as it makes her happy, right? As long as it makes her happy, and as long as she's not doing any actual crazy shit, the way I feel is whatever, but that is incredibly silly to me. Just make sure you're not admitting to that in the wrong state, because you admit to that in the wrong state and you'll go to jail. There's many states in America where, for some reason, it's illegal to collect rainwater. I don't know why, but it is. We have bottles of moon water in the cupboards. Jesus Christ. That's silly.
she's totally not been influenced by a Netflix documentary, which again is kind of similar to the Ashley Gilliard. Because again, Ashley Gilliard's whole fanfic thing was pretty much loosely based off of the How to Get Away with. So,
Wait,
I
was
mean,
it?
come on here.
It's really like the Chris
I don't know who Ashley Gilliard is, to be fair.
Watts thing with the American Horror Story commercial.
Why are these people like this? Why do you feel the need to insert yourself into a horrific trial? And
I'll tell you why. It's because never once in their life were they told no or that they were wrong. That's the real problem. There's a difference between gentle parenting and permissive parenting. Gentle parenting is believing that while you shouldn't hit your child, you should be stern still. They should still have boundaries and rules. Permissive parenting is believing that the child is on the same intellectual level as an adult and that you have to listen to them. Now, quite frankly, I'm in between gentle parenting and old school parenting, where I've frankly never had to hit my kid, thank God, but I know of a specific example where I would, where like when my little brother was a kid and he was a fucking idiot, he would run out into the street all the time. He would run out into the street, and my mother did not believe in hitting kids at all. She would tell him, she would beg with him, plead with him, please don't do it. She would explain to him why he's wrong. She would ground him. She would take away his stuff. Nothing worked. Until the day she spanked his butt for it. The day she spanked his butt for it, he never, ever ran back out into the street again. So if it is to stop your kid from actively hurting themselves, then obviously it's okay. There's, like I say with most stuff, there's a moral gray area to everything. It's not like it's never okay or that it's just okay to do. There's a gray area to all this shit.
Of course, she wraps it all up by making more accusations, and this time...
But this lady never got told no, and she never got hit by nobody. Also, I believe that it's important that every person in their life, at least in one point in your life, gets into a fist fight. I do think that's important, and, well, specifically that you lose a fist fight. I think it's important that at least everybody once in their life loses a fair fist fight, and doesn't get, like, fucked up for it and, like, get stomped on the ground or something. That's horrible, but just, like, everybody needs to be humbled at least once and be taught that you can't just be a piece of shit. I've had my ass beat a lot because I'm an angry person and I don't like to let people mess with me. So, and I'm not a huge dude. I'm 6 feet tall, but I'm like 140 pounds. I'm just a tall, skinny dude. So I've definitely gotten my ass beat many, many times. And I've won some fights, don't get me wrong, but I usually lose them. But I don't know. I think also people should just stand up for themselves more often. Even if you know you're going to lose, stand up for yourself. Our middle kid didn't straighten out until we went full-on drill instructor on him and threatened him like he was in the military. Some kids, that's what it takes. That's the other thing, like why schooling is failing right now is because they want to teach 30 kids the exact same way. And there's no way that 30 kids in a room all learn the same way.
That he is potentially and possibly a predator. Again, zero evidence here. She just really is fond of slandering this guy from her psychic readings.
So we never hit him or anything? Oh, no, yeah, but sometimes you got, like, dude, sometimes you gotta yell. The whole, like, verbally abusive thing, it's like, dog, I just yelled at him. Like, he was being stupid. I called him an idiot. Like, what do you want me to do? Not tell him he's stupid? You want me to just let him run through life thinking he's a genius while he's being an idiot? No. I'm going to tell him he's stupid now so that whenever he gets older, he'll be a genius. Or at least a little bit smarter,
And spiritual intuition. That's all the proof she has.
Something seems like, the husband did it. Something seems like I can't trust a Gemini man with a Cancer moon, you gay closeted fucking loser. Maybe even, like, secretly...
Now she's calling him a closeted gay-ass loser. Dude, what happened, dude, where the left and these crazy people who, I guarantee you, and not just the left, but this same lady would probably, she would probably try to crucify you if you said anything negative about the LGBT community, right? She would probably try to crucify you for it. But she is using gay as a derogatory term. So which is it? Which is it? Right? Sometimes a kid needs the fear of God to get the point across. It is true. It's 100% true.
You better enjoy those Manhattan cocktails while you still can, because y'all ass gonna be wide open in the jail cell. Thank you.
Now, obviously, Cal isn't the only one who claims...
I hate that lady.
...claims that she can psychically channel her visions to that night, but she is definitely one of the people getting on video and stating all of this as facts. And even though there are other videos, most people seem to have, I guess, at least the common sense to go, hey, this is only for entertainment purposes and so on and so on. So maybe they've learned a little bit from Ashley Gilliard. Cal clearly has not. And also, just going back to that, I don't know how speculating about some horrific is entertainment, but also that's not really what I'm here to talk about. And many people obviously keep
entertainment for thee is not necessarily entertainment for me,
bringing up the Ashley Gilliard, including myself, and warned a bunch of these psychics that, hey, I mean, you can get hit.
Look, I've watched a few what do they call it? They call it like murder porn now shows, right? Where I've had fun watching it, Like the documentaries about Ted Bundy and the documentaries about John Wayne Gacy and stuff. I have found those incredibly interesting, and I mean, I guess fun to watch is not necessarily the right word, but it's not necessarily the wrong word either. Entertaining for sure. You said, aren't we here for entertainment? I believe so, Are you not entertained? Like the gladiator.
With a $10 million judgment here, because that's what she got hit with. So maybe you should tread carefully, but it seems like they don't really care.
Ashley was getting upwards of millions of likes for falsely accusing Rebecca of doing these crimes when she did it. All of that to say, I hope Patrick Clancy sues every single one of you guys who was falsely accusing him of murdering his children when we know who did it for every single thing that you got. I hope that there are some attorneys right now documenting and saving all of these.
Oh, dude, there are attorneys salivating for this right now. You said you have Ted Kaczynski's book. You think he's fascinating? Well, Ted Kaczynski is a special case, right? Ted Kaczynski is a very special case where a lot of the stuff that he said, it's like you can not agree with someone's methodology and still agree with their ideology, if that makes sense. Like, I don't agree with Ted's methodology, but a lot of his ideology was just based in true. That's the Unabomber, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Video. So when this Lindsay Clancy trial is over, they just go to Patrick and say, don't worry, we got you some more money.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it's one thing to have,
or at least there's kernels of truth in what he says. What I mean by this, like, obviously corporations have way, way, way too much power and they're fucking everybody up. That's pretty much the main thing of it. Or like that tech can actually be a very bad thing. Like we were talking about earlier, tech can actually harm the future. That was one of his ideas too. So you can agree with a person's ideology without agreeing with how they sent bombs to people.
Theories or a gut feeling, but you can't go online and state them as facts and just blindly slander people. That's just beyond reckless. And right now, these psychics, including Cal, are just going full steam ahead. To me, honestly, it just kind of looks like it's a matter of time until she gets hit with a serious lawsuit. But again, who knows? I guess we just have to wait and see what happens. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed this video. And if anything crazy happens here, I'll make a follow-up. And
see, this is why you always have to say, I think, before you say any kind of crazy accusation. Like, for example, I believe that Bill Gates is a pedophile cannibal. I believe this personally. Do I have solid, hard evidence? No, I don't know it for a fact. I don't know it for a fact, but I definitely believe it. That was a good video, though. Yeah, I think that right now we've got a huge issue happening where there's a divide being drawn between men and women, between them by like a few crazies. Now, I think there's too many crazies popping up out of the woodwork, but that is part of society that has been coddling women and turning men into pussies. To where a lot of men will do anything just to try to get in a girl's pants, and they will not tell them they're wrong, and they'll pretend that everything they say is right, and they'll never push back against anything. Or parents not teaching their children. This a multi-tiered effect that's been happening. Or the no child left behind with school, which has fucked up American schools so bad because now we're just passing kids who are stupid. Like there's a lot of issues that have been going on that lead up to a society that has this problem.